So much to get into across the NFL. And it would not be a show, at least for the next several weeks here, if we didn't talk about Shedeur Sanders. So let's bring in somebody who was there for the preseason performance that everyone will be talking about. The voice, the Cleveland Browns, our friend Andrew Siciliano.
Good to see you.
Hey, great to see you, man.
Good to see you guys.
You're in the other chair now.
It's been a while, man.
It is weird sitting here.
Because that chair is so low?
It is so low. Also, I have the Granger read memorized, and so I kind of wanted to go along with you. Call or click Granger.com.
But I got caught because I almost said there was supplies and solutions.
Exactly.
It's now with professional grade products.
Oh, there's new copy.
It's new copy.
I haven't been there in like 3 weeks. Okay,
it's very
so
important, and I tripped up. That's how deep it's embedded. Do you know who the kicker was for the Niners in the 1990s?
I was thinking about that last night because when we saw the Netflix thing. We were at the premiere. I'm sure you've talked about that already. Mm-hmm. But yes, I was trying to put names and numbers. Like when Michael Irvin said.
Do you have it?
No, I didn't look it up last night. I couldn't remember.
We did not. Mike Kofer. We did not have to look it up. We just knew.
Mike Kofer.
It was the main takeaway for me and Brockman last night was we both walked away going, Mike Kofer was a good kicker for the 49ers.
We didn't sit together. And when Michael Irvin, in the documentary said, I came over the middle as a bang 8, and I've never been hit that hard in my entire life. And then they show the highlight, but you can't see who it is. It's 28. I'm like, oh, that's Dana Hall. And that was the entire, that was part of the game I was playing. And I generally do when you watch old games, do this. It's like, can I get that number? Can I get that number? Can I get that number?
Because you not only have what we all do, which is like the childhood memories, which somehow those names are sticky in your brain from being 10, 12, 15 years old. But then you also did Red Zone for decades. You covered the NFL. You have more names probably stuck up there from just random dudes in the last 10 years. I can know everybody from the 90s. I have to imagine you have completely weird running back names that are sometimes bouncing around that when you can't sleep at night, all of a sudden you just shout out.
I don't know that I shout out random running back names, but I did while
Keyshawn Vaughn!
I did while doing, that's a good one, the Browns game on Friday. They have a new 35. Tawa is his name, former UFL Michigan Panther who only signed 2 weeks ago, who's a great story. He was working at a golf course a couple of weeks ago, and now he's back and running the ball in the National Football League. But he's wearing 35, and I said, well, he's wearing 35, running like Barry Redden, who wore 35 for the Browns, I remember, and had a great Thanksgiving Day performance back when I was like 15 years old. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe 5 people got that. But if you're like a old school Browns fan of my generation, I hope you might have thought, hell yeah, Barry Redden, I remember him.
The other part of my brain that's taken up is when I was on the beat covering like the Vikings and the Packers at various points from 2003 to 2010, and because you're there every day and you remember like the roster churn and some guy who had a number on for like a week, and so now like I'll go to a Vikings practice. I still live in Minneapolis. And I'll see some guy run by in 51. I'm like, oh, Lance Johnstone. And then it's like, no, that was 20-plus years ago, and that's definitely not him. But somehow that's the name that appears in my brain.
Yeah, and it's like amazing. Well, on multiple levels that you've covered the league this long, right? I think I did the math. This is my 30th year somehow.
Wow. In
some way, shape, or form. Like there are a couple of years you're doing national radio and you're going to the Super Bowl and doing Radio Row. So is that really covering the league? We'll count that. They're like 3 or 4 years in there.
I count the years when I was at like the Eau Claire Leader Telegram, and every now and then I'd get to go cover one game. I'm like, yeah, that was a year.
I'm going to count that. I had a credential
a couple
for
of years
that
in
year.
There. They were a little fuzzy.
I was going through my phone and I found a couple of weeks ago my credential for my very first regular season game, which was the Bears-Cowboys Week 1 Monday night opener at Soldier Field in 1996.
Pre-renovations of Soldier Field at that point.
And I looked at it and I was like, holy bleep, I am old.
I unpacked an entire box of credentials that I had saved going back to like 2003. And it is a frightening experience. Also, the credentials in like 2003, literally just a piece of paper.
Yes.
Now it's like a hologram on a plastic card that cannot be replicated, and your face must match the facial recognition technology for you to even get through the gate.
There's a sample of your DNA actually under the laminate as well.
Right. Supposedly, I can just walk up to a stadium and like it'll see me and I can come in. That's apparently, if you're in the system, that's now how it works. The credentials, I think, are just to show people. But apparently, if it recognizes your face and you're on the list, you're in.
Correct. And you
might have nowhere to sit because you didn't tell anyone you were coming.
Right. And they may not have a seat or a flip card for you, but hey, you can get a meal.
Former NFL players still have that too.
Yes.
You can go and get tickets to any game. Just walk up and get tickets.
I think they deserve them.
I don't know how often that happens. Browns.
Yes, let's get to it.
Number 12.
Yeah, he's good.
Shedeur Sanders.
Uh-huh.
Hopefully that wipes out Josh Gordon, anyone else who's wearing 12, at least for the moment.
Colt
Are we
McCoy,
already to
you want to go down
point?
to 12?
McCoy,
Yeah, he was all right.
You saw it live. You called it, and you've been around that team throughout training camp here. Shedeur Sanders' opportunity comes in very unusual fashion. It's literally because everyone else is hurt, except Joe Flacco, who is 40 and might get hurt at any second. So let's roll Shedeur out there. It looked good to the eye test. I'm not an expert. We had Chase Daniel on yesterday breaking down the X's and O's. He went here to here in this read. I just know watching it, the stuff you heard, the good stuff about Shedeur Sanders in college, which is he is going to be poised in the pocket. He is going to be very accurate with the football. He's going to be tough when he needs to take a hit. That stuff showed up. Yeah. And it didn't look too big for him.
He looked the part, and you're right. I mean, that's a great way to say it. It didn't look too big for him. It looked like the guy we saw at Colorado, which was amazing accuracy, pretty good pocket presence. We saw the good and the bad. Like, we saw the very subtle movement on that second touchdown to Caden Davis, where let's give credit to an undrafted rookie running back in Amani Marshall from App State, who, crossed the face of the quarterback, got the blitzer, but Shedeur didn't. That's Chase Daniel.
Amani Marshall in your sleep tonight. But
Amani Marshall, 39. But he didn't flee the pocket. He just had the subtle movement, reset the pocket, and threw a dart into the end zone where only his guy can catch it. Shedeur Sanders is the, statistically, most accurate quarterback in Division I history. Okay? Only 2 years. But those two numbers...
That's 70% completion guy.
Unbelievable. And you saw that there. We saw some of the bad, and the thing that always people point out at Colorado, and we have seen in the NFL now, is him drifting backwards and kind of running around.
Goes 30 yards backwards,
you can't
and ditches
do that.
The ball.
There's a great moment on the sideline there that the Browns caught up with. They're mic'd up, and he was mic'd up, in which he was saying to Myles Garrett on the sideline, like, hey, I would love to do that against you. And he's like, you're a nice kid. Don't do that to me, basically. You don't need that from me. I'm coming after you. They've tried to coach that out of him. You saw that in the game, but you saw a guy that looked the part. The moment was not too big for him. And to be fair, he hadn't gotten a lot of reps. He is fourth on the depth chart for a reason. He was the fifth-round pick. Fifth-round picks don't start in the NFL. Russell Wilson's a third-round pick. People point to Dak Prescott, but Dak Prescott, that was out of necessity.
Tony Romo
was hurt.
Brock Purdy started because Jimmy Garoppolo was hurt.
Exactly. You go back to the Bucks in the 70s, the expansion Bengals in the 60s. That's the last time a quarterback drafted in 6 or 7 or 8 ever got to play. When he was given the opportunity, which is all you can ask for, he nailed it, and this week will be fascinating.
And so if you're Kevin Stefanski, and again, you're around that team all the time, like you know the dynamics. My understanding through the offseason was they truly wanted to watch all these guys. Is it probably Flacco? Maybe.
Yeah, but probably.
To get the credibility in your locker room, if somebody else outplays them, you start the guy who's going to give you the best chance. But it was going to be hard for both Shedeur or Dylan Gabriel to learn an NFL offense. They both had a long way to go in terms of that. How realistic is it here? Again, if Shedeur continues this over, and we'll see how they handle the joint practices in the game this week, how realistic is it to say they give actual consideration to starting Shedeur?
I think it is, and let's not aggregate this or clickbait this. I think it is happening. I think it is unrealistic. If you look at the Browns' schedule, it's home against Joe Burrow, on the road against Lamar Jackson, home against Jordan Love, on the road against Jared Goff, then home game in London against the Vikings, a well-rested Vikings team that would have played the week before in Dublin. Then no bye, and you come home on the road against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, and they will be rested because they played week 4 in Dublin and are taking their bye week 5. That's a gauntlet. There's no way you're playing a rookie quarterback right out of the gate. It's just not going to happen. So in my eyes, it was always either Pickett or Flacco or Pickett. And right now, Kenny Pickett, we'll see what he can do in Philadelphia, just isn't ready for 11 on 11.
Which,
so
if
it's
you're not
likely
ready for
Joe
11
Flacco.
11 on August 12th,
correct.
What are the odds that you are going to be able to close the gap and be on the field? Dylan Gabriel also, he returned to practice yesterday through camp. Like, if you're, again, comparing can be difficult because everybody's out there. Some are against the 2, some against the 3s.
Sure.
But Dylan Gabriel versus Shedeur Sanders. What did you see?
It's a hard comparison to make because of what you just laid out. Dylan Gabriel is getting far more opportunities, at least through the first couple of weeks, than Shador Sanders. He was, if you want to pay any attention to preseason game packet depth charts, which you should not, right? You know this.
It's so fun.
PR makes them. Like we've had
it says about the starting quarterback.
Right, like,
let's tweet that 75 times.
Fun fact: I'm doing Kevin Stefanski's pre-game interview last Friday, and we're on tape. This played on the radio, and I said, by the way, like preseason depth charts, like who makes those? And he looks over to PR.
Yep.
And he's like, I don't know. Does PR make those? I don't even know.
Wow. Every coach blames PR.
Every coach blames PR.
And in reality, I don't know if that's always the case. I'm not accusing Kevin of anything. I'm just saying I don't know if that's always the case.
But there was this thing yesterday. Well, the week 2 depth chart is out. Nothing has changed. Can you remember in all your years covering the league when a preseason depth chart in the game book or the packet changed? It's not a horse race in August. Coaches don't want to tell you anything. They're not changing anything. Look at the reps.
The only time is if you name a starter at a position.
Correct.
They might move it.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, back to your question. Dylan Gabriel, much like Shador, has had good days and bad. He's had more opportunities with 1s and 2s to have good days. I was not at practice yesterday. I will be there for the joint practice tomorrow in Philly. From everything I heard, Dylan Gabriel had a really good day yesterday, but Shador did as well. So they're both rookies. They're both going to have those moments where you're like, yeah, you can't do that. I'm excited to see what Gabriel can do in a game, and I think we may get that this week because, like I said, Shador is the most accurate quarterback in D1 history. No one has thrown more touchdowns in D1 history than Dylan Gabriel. He's not a slouch.
Started a lot of games, too, to get there.
He played 6 years.
Highly productive.
Highly productive.
And the way that they looked at him and teams looked at him was just, all right, the upside on him is he's mini Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Same offense, same 60-plus starts, tons of touchdown passes, plays similarly. He's just small. He's short.
Yeah.
Not small. He's more thickly built, but he is short.
He was standing next to Bryce Young in the joint practice in Carolina last week, just, in between periods, and they were talking. And they are similar in height, but Gabriel is
lower body
thicker.
is
bigger,
he's
thicker.
built.
Bryce is slight. Now, Dylan is not Baker Mayfield, who's, a brick, what house.
Right.
Yeah.
And Baker wears like the gigantic rib pads that make him look even bigger than he actually is. Like he is absolutely
he's a square quarterback when you're standing next to him.
Do we see 15 in the preseason? Do we see Flacco?
I don't think so. I'd be surprised. So let's go back. So the third preseason game next week is in Cleveland, and it's the Rams coming to town. Sean McVay is not going to play anybody. If Sean had his choice, he wouldn't even put his first team on the plane.
Right.
Right? Like, why do I want their back to lock up? Forget about Matthew Stafford. He doesn't want anyone on a cross-country flight that isn't going to play the game.
Matthew Stafford wakes up and his back is locking up right now.
Yes, it is. We're getting old. I get it. I'd be surprised if Flacco plays in the preseason.
Here's the other dynamic here, and there's two parts to this. One, when we're talking about playing a rookie quarterback, part of the issue, besides the fact that these guys have so much to learn and there is that curve, is also if you do start the rookie and then he struggles against that gauntlet that you talked about early in the schedule, now you have to pull him. Yeah. And most of those stories don't end up like Bryce Young, where 8 weeks later, 10 weeks later, Andy Dalton's in a car wreck, and Bryce Young, who actually matured and led through his benching, gets back out there and plays a lot better. Yeah. Most of the time it's, well, that's it. You kind of gave up on him now, and then what does that do to the dynamic? Flip side of it, if you're putting Joe Flacco out there and things don't look good, even in a preseason game. All right, let's get him out one series, get his feet wet. And that series just isn't very good because it's preseason football, and you're not game planning, and you're just kind of throwing whatever out there, and it's not good. And then Shedeur comes in and lights it up against the 2s and the 3s. It's just going to make this entire megaphone louder that we're talking about, keeping Flacco away until you get to the real games. There is a strategy that's potentially involved in that, too.
Yeah, there is. And the hype train has left the station. I kind of feel...
100%.
Do you sense a Tebow vibe?
Literally talked about that on the show yesterday.
Okay.
This is the closest thing.
So it's not just me.
Tebow was a first-round pick, and they traded up to get him, and it was Josh McDaniels hugging everybody, and like it was its own story. But there was that effect where I don't remember seeing another preseason game. You were on the broadcast. I was watching it. And every time Shedeur completed a pass, they would cut away in Charlotte to fans wearing Shedeur's jersey and celebrating.
Tom, we're on the bus.
I don't remember that for anyone besides Tebow.
Sorry, I cut you off. We're on the bus going to the game, and I pull up my ticketing app, right? And I'm like, all right, let's see what it is. Now, a lot of this was price gouging, people trying to get away with, hey, we'll put them up there high. Chris and I go through this all the time when we try to sell our tickets, right? It's like, how high do you put them? And like, what's the sweet spot? Let's see what I can get, right? Lower deck seats 2 hours before the game. We're going for like $300.
For a preseason game?
For a preseason game.
Yeah.
2.5 million people watched something other than the Hall of Fame game in the preseason. That is absurd. But with the Tebow thing, I almost feel like there's a Russian bot army out there. And I don't think there is. I'm not saying that. But you can just
they're out there. I don't know if they're focused on Shedeur.
You can say his name and the slings and arrows,
right?
Because people are going to bring their own opinion and they're going to attack you regardless of what you say. You can heap praise on the kid and they're still going to come after you. It's just, I've never seen anything like it other than Tebow.
I guess the only other one that would be similar, I would still say like the most, like the worlds colliding, viral moments colliding, was the 2014 preseason, I believe it was. Michael Sam sacked Johnny Manziel and did the money sign. And I was like, this is everything all at once right here.
I called that game too.
There you go.
Rams preseason TV.
But even Manziel there was a lot of hype around him. But I mean, that was another Cleveland guy.
Yep.
It wasn't this. And maybe that's because of the fact that he went in the 5th round. The fact that you had everything surrounding the draft. The Rich Eisen Show, Tom Pelissero in for Rich, Andrew Siciliano continuing to hang out with us right here. Not only the voice of the Browns, but you have a new show that, based on the number of logos I saw in the promo graphic,
there are a lot of logos.
It appears to be on everywhere. Look at this. We've got inside coverage,
the YouTubes.
Yahoo, YouTube, that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I believe.
Those are the two standard Spotify, the two standard podcast platform logos there.
Monday through Thursday, 6:30 Eastern. Tell me about it.
Does it look like they put like eye black? Do I have black eye? Like, I don't know.
No,
that's a weird
that's
look.
That's what you look like now, Andrew.
No. I guess so. Anyway, that's an old photo. Yeah, I'm excited. So it's
congrats, man.
New project on Yahoo, 6:30 Eastern time, live on YouTube. All their great reporters, Jory Epstein and Charles Robinson and Frank Schwab and other guys like Nate Tice, who's amazing, Frank Harmon. Throw them all together. And, going live on the YouTubes at night, 6:30.
Sensational.
Yeah.
3:30 Pacific.
Right.
You're knocking off in time for happy hour.
Yeah.
It's tremendous.
Love it. 3:30 Pacific. And that's fun. And also doing the Hard Knocks podcast as well. The official Hard Knocks podcast. Episode 2 is dropping tonight on HBO Max at 9 p.m. Eastern time. And had Ryan Fitzpatrick on the first one. On this one, have Pat Harris, who is now directing Hard Knocks this year. He has been one of the directors for the last decade. He has amazing old Hard Knocks stories. But what was cool is they gave him the job this year, and they said, hey, you're going to direct Hard Knocks. Okay, cool. And then they found out it was the Bills. He is from Rochester. He could ride his bike to St. John Fisher, played high school quarterback right up the road. Imagine like you being like, you got to cover the Vikings. That was amazing, right? I got to do the Browns here. But like saying, hey, you want to produce or direct Hard Knocks with the Vikings, and that's what he gets to do with his hometown team. Pretty cool.
It does seem, and I know this to be the case, they definitely don't want to go leaning into news. I don't think we're going to see cuts. We are getting, a taste of the people. It seems like more than anything, right? That's the focus so far, at least in episode 1.
And in episode 2, you see more of that, a lot of backstories, but you also do see some conflict because now there is some conflict, obviously, and maybe a resolution.
Is James Cook acknowledged? Because I don't think his name was even mentioned in the first episode.
It is acknowledged in this episode.
It is?
Yes.
We're covering it.
Yes. I don't want to spill the entire episode, but yes, absolutely.
That's going to be awkward if they get a deal done today. It's back on the practice field. That's going to be some quick late editing. It'll be old school Hard Knocks, right?
9 p.m. Eastern time.
9 p.m. Eastern tonight. And then the podcast drops immediately
after. Will drop, I believe, audio afterwards and then video the next day.
Got it.
Yeah. So excited for that as well.
Who else is on that podcast?
Just me. me and whomever we have as a guest.
Yes.
Yeah, so last week, Ryan Fitzpatrick was Bill's legend. Like, he's played for 9 teams, but, like, in his heart, he's kind of a Buffalo Bill. Still showing up shirtless on the field, and he's amazing. And then Pat Harris, and then a special guest next week as well.
I was going to say, speaking of shirtless, I figured Deion Dawkins, just anything surrounding the Bills, like he would just show up. It's like, you're not even invited, but Deion Dawkins, he's now on the podcast. Why? I don't know. He called in. And
is he not one of your favorite people?
He is awesome. Every time that he comes on the Insiders, and like it's always fun. He's such a gregarious dude.
He was one of the driving forces behind this new offensive line award. In the first episode, he kind of freaked me out because he has his little daughter in the front seat while he's drifting in like an 80s era BMW. But everyone's okay. Coco's okay. That's his daughter.
She loved it, too.
She loved it.
Welcome back to the radio audience here, the Rich Eisen Show. Andrew Siciliano here with me, Tom Pelissero, in studio right now. Matthew Stafford, as we're speaking here, not on the practice field again. You did their preseason games for years. I know you know a lot of people over there. You've also seen Matthew Stafford pull is he not going to make it routine many times, both in training camp and game weeks, and then somehow he's always out there. What is your level of concern if you're a Rams fan or somebody in that building right now about Stafford and his back?
I would say it's a little bit more than it was a few weeks ago. I think that is fair and natural. We're getting closer and closer. We're now officially inside of 4 weeks until game number 1. I think that gives you some anxiety. At the same time, it is still 4 weeks, and he is the kind of guy that can roll out of bed without practicing and still go no look 30 yards downfield, cover 2 hole shot to Puka, and he's going to tap the toes, and he's going to be back, and everyone's going to be happy again. He can still do that. I think both can be true. They have one of the better backup quarterback situations in the NFL, and Jimmy Garoppolo, a guy that came this close to winning a Super Bowl. Jimmy can play. At the same time, I don't know, this is going to sound like a shot, but I don't know that they're a Super Bowl contender if they don't have Matthew Stafford. I'll ask you, do you think if Jimmy Garoppolo's got to play the entire season, we're talking about this team in the Super Bowl?
Well, I think they're
a good team.
In that event.
They're a playoff team.
In the rare events through recent NFL history in which a starting quarterback like that gets injured or misses the season, we have seen teams do aggressive things to find another solution. The Rams did it some years ago, even plucking Baker Mayfield and starting him 3 days later. In this case, there just so happens to be a guy who's currently making $27.5 million to be a backup in Atlanta, who suddenly might have a great deal of value to a Sean McVay-led offense that runs essentially the same scheme that Kirk Cousins came up playing with the Kyle Shanahans of the world, and then also played in with Kevin O'Connell in Minnesota. So this would be, as much as, and I know I've made this point on the show before, I don't know that Kirk would accept a trade just anywhere. Somebody who has no connection to him. I don't even want to say a name and jinx somebody, but some quarterback goes down, it's like a totally different offense. He might go, I'm good. My family's here. I'm making a ton of money to not play football. Like, I'll stay. The Rams open up. I would think Kirk Cousins would be pretty excited about that opportunity.
I would ask aloud, is Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles, now 2 years removed, that much of an upgrade over Jimmy Garoppolo?
The history would say Jimmy Garoppolo is not starting 17 games for you regardless.
Correct. And then
He's
Stetson Bennett would be your backup
the entire season. And Stetson Bennett played a lot of good college football, has not really played NFL football, and missed his entire rookie season, is now one step away.
Correct. Yeah, I don't know that they would feel entirely comfortable, despite Stetson's good performance this weekend. I don't know that they'd feel entirely comfortable as him as the number 2. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is good. I also think there's a part of Sean McVay. I mean, of course, Jimmy Garoppolo is good. There's a part of Sean McVay that kind of he doesn't want to be forced into this situation, but he would embrace the challenge of proving that he can go win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
A very friendly Kyle-Sean rivalry.
You know what I'm getting at here.
Yes, absolutely.
At the same time, I think they're crossing their fingers and holding their breath that Matthew's back is going to feel okay. Look, he had that trailer. You saw that trailer in front of the field yesterday?
Put that photo up real quick.
What do we got?
Does it not look like Jimmy Garoppolo has dreadlocks in this photo? Can we pull that back, the Jimmy Garoppolo photo?
He has dreads?
Back here. Yeah, look, right there. Does it not look like windblown hair is coming on? Like Jimmy's got
is that Devontae behind him?
He's got a new look.
Yeah.
Right? Sorry,
I just got lost in his eyes. Sorry.
You got lost.
But Andrew looks like they'd be cousins or something.
Someone said that to me once, and I'm flattered, to be honest with you.
Like
I get the Jake Gyllenhaal's a lot better than some of the other horrible things I see on Twitter making comparisons.
If we created a nesting doll situation, you could be like 2 steps down from Jimmy.
I'm flattered. I don't know what to say. I'm stunned and I'm flattered. Yeah.
You got the new show, Yahoo and YouTube and Spotify and Apple. Inside coverage every Monday through Thursday, live 6:30 Eastern time. What else are you excited to talk about going into the season? You'll be Browns all the time, sure. Browns broadcast, Brown podcast. But when you get into the season, you're talking about everything. What are you looking forward to?
Honestly, like looking at the rookies, looking at Cam Ward over the weekend. And I know people go on and on about, well, he's not getting respect. Now, there's a difference between respect and attention. I don't think they're the same thing. I know there's some overlaps, certainly. I liked what I saw from Cam Ward. I'm still fascinated by how the Micah Parsons thing is going to shake out. You and I were there last night, and Jerry got kind of needled about it, and he wouldn't go there, which said something.
Al kind of tried to ask the question without asking the question, and even Al Michaels was like, I'm not going to derail this whole thing by doing this right now.
I mean, how is that going to play out? And I'm also fascinated by
talk for starters.
The quarterback movement here. You mentioned Kirk Cousins. There are other veteran quarterbacks out there if there is an injury, right? Like the Giants don't need Jameis.
Sure.
They don't need Jameis at all. I love him.
Tannehill's sitting out there. Didn't play last year.
Tannehill's sitting
Carson
out there.
Wentz is hanging around
The Browns have 2 veteran quarterbacks.
The Browns have 6 quarterbacks
they
right
do
now.
Have 6, but they have 2 at the top there, veterans.
You're the best.
Likewise.
Thanks for being here,
Love
Andrew.
against the clock. Thanks for having me. Goodbye.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.